All civilizations collapse, some in just the blink of an eye. Our spiritless, self-obsessed and destructive civilization is approaching a tipping point. The centre no longer holds. So the question is, do we stumble lemming-like into the void, or can we step back, reassess our priorities, reduce our expectations, and go on to more fulfilling lives? My work is about generations of working class women, my grandmothers, my mother, and myself, who were forced by circumstances to make do. Not only was their creativity tested daily, but they managed to maintain a protective and loving environment for their children. I think there are many lessons to be learned from these women that may save us from that precipice. Consequently, I believe that they could be thought of as the ghosts of future past. Many artists have used poor materials to express themselves in tumultuous times, beginning with the Art Povera movement in post-World War II in Italy. In more contemporary times, similar works can be found in the cultures of Brazil, Indonesia, Russia, Cambodia, the Middle East, China, and Korea. The philosophy of Art Povera rejects consumerism and technological advances that alienate us from nature and even from ourselves. It also seeks to break down elitism and class structures that make art more accessible to us all. My choice of poor materials is the Hessian bag. It was used to weatherproof shelters, it was used for bedding, floor coverings, and even to make children's clothing. It took produce to markets and it returned potatoes, sugar, and flour to keep people alive. In recent times, it's been used for sandbagging in floods and to fight bushfires. My work references the makeshift shelters that were built by the early settlers and those built by the thousands of unemployed during the Great Depression. During my life, I've had periods of living in similar circumstances, converting an old banana packing shed without plumbing or electricity into a cosy dwelling for my children. And later, living in a remote Aboriginal community in the Kimberley in an open bough shed, surrounded by people who slept in the open or under rusty pieces of tin, canvas, and even car bonnets. It was there that I learnt to make do, and it was also there that I developed the awe and the admiration for my female ancestors. As the basis of my work, I've chosen the cube. Historically, it was a minimalist form, stark and white and very masculine. Through my choice of materials and the processes I use, I've attempted to humanise and feminise the notion of the cube. Louise Bourgeois said that threads weave important memories and emotional connections for us all. And deconstructing and reconstructing the Hessian bags for my installation has given me ample time to consider the line of extraordinary women, which I am the current example. As you move through my work, I can only hope that you might feel a faint echo of my concern about our future and the pride and the passion that I feel for my female ancestors, and for people displaced from their homes by poverty and environmental disaster, who must also learn to make do.
materials, the meaning, plenty of them there, absolutely in the very fabric of the thing, in the extraordinarily intense ravelling and unravelling of the Hessian fabric. But for all of this, Hessian, it's kind of a universal. It evokes extraordinary, or people of my generation, it invokes memories of, I suppose, the generation of my parents and grandparents. For me, it's coal sacks and oven mitts and all sorts of curious things. And just talking to people tonight, the people are picking up in all sorts of ways.
Those really interesting use of materials, like 2 years ago we were on this project, was a very brave kind of approach to industrial materials, of ripping and tearing and cutting and hanging, and you entered some of the spaces that you created from industrial materials that kind of alluded to an organic and natural kind of environment, almost like stalactites in caves. This is a very different project because it's very natural, but it forebodes a kind of a modern world that's kind of alluding to a sense of the historical kind of materials of Hessian. From Depression parents maybe, but that has, I think, contemporary ramifications. So congratulations, Lyn.